All right, guys, it is time for another cycle breakdown. We're moving into our next 6-week cycle, which is kind of crazy. I feel like our last 6-week cycle just started, but time to move on to the next thing. You guys did amazing on your 5-rep max back squat cycle. I know a lot of people improved on that. Our weightlifting foundation stuff got a lot better. I think everybody had a good time with the EMOMs. Maybe that's not how you would phrase it, but it seemed like you guys did awesome on that. But time to move on to some other focuses here. So from a strength standpoint, a lot of the focuses are going to be very similar. So we're going to still squat twice a week. We're still going to weight lift twice a week, with one full lift and one power lift, or power version of the classic lifts. So the strength stuff is going to look really, really similar, just in a little bit different fashion. Monday is going to be pause triple back squats. So working on a little bit of the foundational strength here, really building strength and positional awareness in the bottom of the squat, on triples there on Monday. On Friday is going to be the other squat day. That's going to be 1 1/4 front squats. So we're going to go down, come about halfway up or a quarter of the way up, back down, and then all the way back up. So this is another way that we build positional strength. It's another way that we build strength out of the hole. So you're not going to be able to drop right down into the bottom of the squat and get that big stretch reflex on the way back up. You're going to have to control those positions halfway up, back down, and then all the way back up. So it's a really good way to build front rack strength, really build core strength in the front squat. And we're going to be doing those on Fridays. Other weightlifting days are going to be Wednesday. So that's going to be our classic weightlifting day. So squat version of the lift. So squat, snatch, squat, clean, and jerk. This is also going to be some positional stuff. So our snatches and our cleans and our jerks are going to have pauses in the catch. So in the snatch position, we're going to catch, pause in the bottom for 3 seconds, not going anywhere out of that until we pause for the full 3 seconds, come back up, and then building some positional strength there. So we're not just diving under, coming up as quick as we can. Same thing with the jerk, holding in that split position, really building good positional awareness overhead, building positional strength there. That's going to be on Wednesdays. The other Olympic day is going to be on Saturday. These are going to be the power variation of the lift. So last 6-week cycle, we did the no hook and no feet version of the lifts, which were kind of weird to get used to, I'm sure. But it seems like those went really well. This is going to be a little bit more straightforward with an emphasis on touch and go versions of the lift at some heavier weights. So this week, starting with 6, 5, 4, 3, and then 2 touch and go power clean and jerks. So going from the power clean right into the jerk, and then without dropping, going back down, tap on the ground. Building some eccentric strength, having to control that barbell from the overhead position all the way back down to the ground without letting it get away from us, without rounding the back, without getting into crappy positions there. Another good way to build some positional strength with Olympic weightlifting, and obviously has some really good carryover to kind of classic CrossFit. So stuff like Grace, stuff like Isabel, where we're doing 30 reps for time at 135.95. It tends to feel a little bit easier if you've already done 5 or 6 reps at a much heavier weight. So those are going to be our strength focuses for the next 6-week cycle. In terms of conditioning focuses, on Monday, we're going to continue our lower accessory kind of conditioning work. So it's a lot of wall balls, a lot of forced unbroken sets on Mondays. This time we're going to go a little bit more chaotic. So chaotic meaning that we're not going to do the same type of progression in terms of the lower body movement every week, but it is still going to be lower body focused. So an example of that is going to be like a sandbag weightlifting complex during the conditioning on Monday. So 1 lunge on each leg and 1 squat, mixed with some assault biking and some broad jumps. So it's not going to look like our typical CrossFit. It's not going to be a lot of wall balls. It's not going to be a lot of thrusters, stuff like that. It's going to be more kind of weird stuff, accessory stuff, building lower strength in a kind of out of breath context. On Tuesdays, so this is going to be one of our new conditioning focuses. So Tuesdays are going to be all about pacing. So when we talk about pacing, people like to talk about their pace. And when people talk about their pace, a lot of the times that looks like 2 minutes of really awesome work and 13 minutes of crying, because people don't know how to pace right out of the gate. So the Tuesday work is going to be about forced pacing. So what we're going to do for one of the ways that we're going to work on pacing is sets of rounds. So 3 sets of 4 rounds. And each of those 4 rounds needs to be faster than the next. And we'll go into some more detail on that on a week-to-week basis, but this is going to be a way that we work on kind of starting slow, or at least controlled, and then building that pace throughout and kind of working on what your pace not only is, but should be. So that's going to be Tuesdays. Wednesday is going to be kind of our classic CrossFit day. So this should be looking at our typical MGW, monostructural gymnastics weightlifting, triplets, couplets, chippers, AMRAPs, rounds for time, stuff like that. Very straightforward CrossFit, just kind of fun stuff on Wednesdays to go with our classic weightlifting. On Thursdays, our focus is going to be on strict pull-up strength. So obviously strict pull-ups are a foundational movement for all of our gymnastics movements, working towards getting muscle ups, working on getting butterfly pull-ups, but even on toes to bar, anything upper body strength wise, strict pull-ups are a great strength progression for that. So we're going to work on building strength in the upper portion, so the last little pull over the bar with your chin, and then the beginning portion, so that first initiation where we start pulling with the scapula. And then bringing those two together over the course of the 6 weeks and building strength in the full movement. So again, on Thursdays, kind of like we have been doing, we have options for people who already have a significant amount of strict pull-ups, so 3+ strict pull-ups, and then we have an option for people who are still building strength in the strict pull-ups. So there's something for everybody on Thursday in terms of our strength building with gymnastics. Our conditioning on Thursday is going to be kind of a chaotic running density build. So just building up how much we're running each of the 6 weeks. So starting with about 3/4 of a mile, building up by about 200 to 400 meters each week up to a little bit more running. And it's not going to be just running. It's going to be running mixed with other things. But the ultimate goal of the cycle is just to be a little bit more running tolerant, work on our running speed in kind of a mixed CrossFit setting on Thursdays. And then finally, to round out our Monday through Friday, we're going to stick with the theme of gut check workouts on Fridays. So these are going to be things that are kind of a little bit competition themed, but just generally things that force you outside of your comfort zone, more difficult movements, more difficult loading, complexity, etc. Very similar to what we've been doing for the last 6 weeks. So things that you would typically see on like, hey, let's do this crazy workout on Saturday, but it's going to be more set on Friday. So getting to know what your limits are, knowing what your capacity is, that's the whole name of the game on our Friday workouts. And then on Saturday, like I touched on, power weightlifting for the strength. And then probably will be mostly partner stuff on Saturday, but that's going to be also kind of classic CrossFit stuff, just usually kind of with more of a partner kind of tilt to it. So those are our focuses for the next 6 weeks. So weightlifting, very similar to the last cycle, some carryover from the last cycle to continue hammering on those points of emphasis, but some new emphasis with our pacing and our strict pull-ups, a little bit more running, but again, great job on the last 6 weeks, especially our back squat cycle. I know that went super well, and keep killing it, guys.